Have a louder namaskar. In the next half an hour, what I want to show you guys is how we unfortunately treat ourselves like a bicycle, whereas we are basically Porsche, Lamborghini, name it, whatever it is, Mercedes. You will understand that a BMW or Mercedes that is 60 years old is so complicated. And as Bamdevji told you, an instrument made by nature that existed for 3 million years, how complicated it can be. But sadly, we do not know our powers. Now, having said that, while I'll talk about meditation, my talk today will exclusively be on the scientific part of it. And that's why I do want to give a small disclaimer. In Hindu philosophy, you have science coming first, then philosophy, and then religion. Anything that is not scientific cannot be religious in Hinduism. And I reiterate that. Anything that is not scientific cannot be religious in Hinduism. The only unfortunate part is that science has not progressed to explain everything. So obviously, whatever I'm going to talk is based on whatever the latest science knows. That's why my disclaimer is a quote by none other than Swami Vivekananda. Logic and causations are windows to the absolute. Logic and causations are windows to the absolute. Once inside the absolute, there is no logic, there is no causation. So that is the meaning of infinite. In a universe where multiple stars and multiple universes are created every day, you cannot say, this is what science thinks, so this is true, and that is not science because that is not true. That shows bankruptcy on our part, on our mind. So my talk today is going to be scientific, and as a physician, I kept to my profession by showing you only those research, A, that has not been done by any Indian like me, so that I can be biased. B, they're all randomized clinical trials, so that there is no bias. Number 3, they are done by people, A, who are not Hindus, who don't believe in Hinduism, who don't understand Hinduism. But people who are physicians, scientists, whose only job is to make our life better. So let's start. I'd like to thank everybody for giving me the scope. Obviously, the great gurus. My guru is Swami Hariharananda Giri, as we told you, who's one of the persons who became an engineer way back in 1935. I think he was the first engineer or second engineer group in the whole of India. So we come from Kriya Yoga. You must have heard Mahavatar Babaji, Paramahansa Yogananda, a very powerful tradition of both science and spirituality. So I thank them, and of course I'm extremely grateful that I have somebody who I consider myself as one of my gurus also, Bamdev Shastri Ji. Since my teenage years, I've been a fan of his writing and his books. So with his permission, I'm going to start today. So the problem is that when we get a news item like this, we are excited. Oh, American army is using acupuncture. Oh, so great. We've been using Ayurveda for the last 10,000 years. So they are using this because the drugs called morphine, the drug called heroin, the drug called opioids, which is used for killing pain, they found causes more side effects in those soldiers they are transferring from Iraq to Germany. So they wanted a mechanism by which they could get those soldiers away from pain, at the same time not give the side effects of some of this modern medicine. That's why they took this. So this is that's existed in our literature for over 10,000 years. But sadly, we are trying to rediscover it, thing that has already been there. Let me take you 30 years back to a story, which is actually a real incident, not really a story. So husband and wife, they migrated, lower middle class husband and wife migrated from another country, came to this country. They had 2 daughters. One was going to a college, the other was going to the high school. At that time, this lady gets diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 4 breast cancer. Thankfully, we don't have stage 4 breast cancer nowadays, which means death within 2 to 3 years. So one Sunday she makes tea for her and her husband, and while sipping tea, she finds a small note in the Pittsburgh Chronicle saying the University of Pittsburgh is going to train people for meditation in the hope that it might help in cancer patients. So the whole advertisement was like in 12 or 13 fonts, very small. But the disclaimer was in 20-25 font, very big. This is not a cure for cancer, so that nobody lands up making a court case, as we find in America. But the nice part is that changed history. This is the first study where they took 12 ladies, stage 4 breast cancer. 12 of them were taught meditation. 12 of them were not taught meditation. They were taught sham meditation techniques, and they were followed. Everybody who was not taught meditation died within 4 years. And out of the 12, actually 8 died within 2 to 3 years. And remember, everybody got the best medical treatment possible at that time. Obviously, we have better drugs now, but that's a separate question. At that time, all the 12 who did meditation, all the 12 who did not do meditation had the same medical treatment. The earliest one who died in the meditation group was at the 4th year, 4.5 years, which was technically or by probability much more than somebody who did not get meditation. And most of the people actually took 8 to 9 years to die. One lady lived till 14 years, which at that time was a miracle. So this doctor wanted to see from the Department of Psychiatry at Pittsburgh that is that a miracle, is that a fluke? Could be a fluke, I mean, just by accident, or is there science behind it? And when they did a bunch of blood tests and other things, among the other thing they saw was there were social factors. The social factor was that this lady's score for happiness. We have something called SF-36. People who are physicians here will know. It's a form by which we see if you have anxiety, depression, all those things. By that, they are very happy. But their natural killer cell functions. So natural killer cells are like jihadis in your body. They will go and kill anybody as long as that doesn't belong to the body, whether it's an HIV-infected cell, whether it's a cancer cell, anything that doesn't belong to your body, they'll just go and kill it. The natural killer cell function was increased by more than 150 times in these ladies. Today we have a medicine called Herceptin which costs $100,000. It doesn't increase your natural killer cell function even twice, leave alone what your own body can do. That's why I said, my talk today, I hope, will make you believe, before you go home, that what you think is a small bicycle is actually much better than a Porsche or a Lamborghini that so-called nature or God provided to you, as long as you know how to use it. So this is an example of the cancer survivor, the lady I was telling you. Now, throughout generations, there have been many medical techniques that has come up. Some are close to Western medicine, some are not. Thankfully, meditation is getting more and more well established because there's tons of research in this field. So much so that this might happen in not too far a future. So I tell my people, change your breathing, change your life. What do you mean by that? Everybody, one of us is breathing. I mean, even a lizard is breathing. I mean, that's what they are not. Even a small bacteria that lives 10,000 feet deep into Pacific Ocean, it might not breathe oxygen, it breathes hydrogen sulfide, but it's still breathing. Everything that is life breathes. Yes, but the difference is you breathe like an instrument without knowing that you are breathing, and when you breathe consciously, you connect yourself to what Bamdevji said, the consciousness, the creation of the consciousness, the entity that we call the infinite. So breathing is important because this breathing or meditation gets you to those places where each and every one of us would like to go, whether it's away from anxiety, longer lifespan, away from cancers, heart disease. I'll just talk about some of them today, but that's what the basis is. And the question is, why should we go for meditation? I mean, there's been scientific development. You have artificial hearts. Dr. Mathur treats hundreds of patients who would have, 10 years back they would have died. But they have artificial heart, but what we have learned is that no cure is as good unless you cure it from within. You might have an artificial heart today that has its own complication. You might have a left ventricular assist device today, you might have its own complication. So the question is, despite improvement in technology, every year we have around 1 million people having heart attacks. Every year. So there must be something going on that we are missing. I think one point that Dr. Frawley made is very important. While trying to go more and more into technology, into more and more finer things, we are forgetting the human being in total. We found out the liver, we are going to the cell of the liver, then we are going to the microsome of the liver, but we know human being is not a liver and a heart and a kidney. A human being is a human being. And that's what medicine is retracing itself nowadays. So with this progress of disease, whether it's, as I said, like every 2 minutes there's an American who's dying because of heart disease. Is there a way you change this? The same is the story with cancer. As cancer, as you know, is the second biggest killer in this country. According to WHO, in the next 15 years, we'll have 200 million, at least 200 million cancer all over the world. So it's time to understand what else we can do to bring down this problem. And every year we have at least 1 million males and 1 million females having new cancers. It is very important to understand that in this country, these are not mere numbers. Think of a family, like when I have a family who comes with heart disease, I don't say a person has heart attack, I say the whole family has it. The husband has heart attack, he's young, he's the breadwinner of the family, the wife suffers from it. The kids going to school, colleges suffer from it. So is the story with cancer. It's not a disease of one person, it is the disease of the whole family. And as all of you know, the largest or the biggest cause of going bankrupt in this country is paying medical bills, paying for the costly drugs. So it's time that we retrace our steps and find out what is the power we have within ourselves that can prevent this, that can prolong life in cancer patients, that can prevent the second heart attack after you had your first, that can prevent you from living longer disease-free. So that's what I'm going to present today to you with exact scientific, on the scientific basis, because as I said, my topic today is restricted only to science. Though again, as a disclaimer, I must say that meditation is just much more than science, but today we'll just keep to science for today. Let's change gears a bit and think something that is positive. We had a lot of negative talks, let's talk positive. So this is the Caribbean island. How many of you want to go to a Caribbean island? Oh, everybody wants to go to Caribbean island. Cool. Let's do something. Why don't you guys close your eyes and think whether it's Hawaii or Caribbean, a nice place that you want to go now. Let's do it. Let's take 10 minutes and think of a place where you'd like to go now rather than hearing this boring talk of mine. Close your eyes and try to think where you want to go. Every one of you. Just think you're in a beautiful place. Concentrate. There's nothing. This room doesn't exist. The universe doesn't exist. Only you and that place of peace. Okay, open your eyes now. Could some of you go to such a place? Yes? They were trying to. Very good. That's a very good question. That's a very good answer. They were trying to. The science of meditation began when we had an interesting finding. I don't know how many of you went to Hawaii or how many of you went to the Caribbean today. But it will be interesting to know. You did. Good. When you actually physically go to Hawaii, the same part, the same cells of your brain will be activated than when you sit in your couch and think of being in Hawaii. So if you go to the Caribbean, the same part of your brain will be activated when you physically see Caribbean than when you sit at home in front of your TV, stop the nonsense coming from the TV, and try to be in Caribbean. This is the root. So what you guys did today is one of the most powerful teaching that we learned in the last 10 years. So a cancer patient can be trained to think back to those days when cancer did not exist. And remember one more thing. So you created your own reality. You fooled your brain sitting in traffic-filled Houston that you are going to Hawaii, and your brain accepted it. That is what the concept of meditation is. We are fooling ourselves every day. We are living in a virtual reality which says, I am weak, I don't have the strength, oh, I have cancer, oh, gods are against me, oh, my astrologer said my year will go bad. Oh, you are God yourself. You are the most powerful individual. Change your mind and you can change your future. The question is, the problem lies in the circuits of our brain. In most of us, I get up in the morning, I am anxiety prone. So the first thing I see, it puts in red lights in my brain. Oh, this is going to be a bad day. Oh, there's going to be a lot of traffic. Whereas there are other people, like somebody like Bamdevji, who's after years of meditation, he has reached that stage when even a massively negative thing doesn't affect him. So this is a trained skill. All the Shankaracharyas, all the Vivekanandas, all the Maharishi Arvind that you said, they were not born having no problems in life. If you are born on earth, you have to have problems. It doesn't matter whether you are a Jesus Christ or a common man. Jesus Christ had a much worse life than any one of you. But the godliness in you comes when you can train yourself to face those ups and downs. Nobody is born with an extra brain or extra power because, as Buddha said, it's a royal path. The path that I walked, you also have to walk. So the path that Jesus Christ walked, Buddha walked, Swami Vivekananda walked, you have to walk, I have to walk. There's only one royal path. There's no two paths. The question is how you train your brain to understand that. So it all depends on brain circuit. Now, what does that mean? What it means is a normal brain, as you know, we have evolved from dinosaurs or other animals. So a normal brain has certain function. And the main function of the normal brain is to save ourselves from dying. So you might say, what the hell are you talking about? What I'm talking about is, for 2 million years, remember, we didn't live in large houses and apartments in Houston or New York or New Jersey or India. We lived in the jungles. So if a saber-toothed tiger attacked you, you either kill the tiger or you get eaten up, period. So those basic responses has remained back in us. So those basic responses has caused us, though we are human beings, so-called civilized, but our basic behavior has remained the same. So whenever there is stress, those basic behavior comes out, causing release of a bunch of neurochemicals inside our body, inside our brain, which is destructive to us, as we shall see. So if we can change our brain circuits, you can decide what you want to see. So the red part that I show you, this is the so-called the reptilian brain. Every one of us have that. Only the reptiles, the dinosaur had one advantage. Like, if I did not like you, I'll go and eat you up. But the problem is, I can't eat you. In that process, what happened? I'm still jealous of you. I am envious of you. I'm angry at you. So instead of damaging you, which I can't physically do, staying in a civilized world, I go on damaging myself. So inside my body, inside my subconsciousness, I release chemicals, adrenaline, noradrenaline, a bunch of other chemicals that damages me. Makes my heart go weak, my heart go fast. And as you know, every 2 minutes somebody in America is dying from what is known as sudden cardiac death. Then where your heart goes suddenly very fast and then you die out. So this is because those chemicals cannot harm you, who I intend those chemicals for, but it's harming me because my ignorance doesn't make me understand that my basic nature of, as a reptile, I am behaving myself in my body, inside my body like that, instead of doing what I should do. So the level on the top is the human cortex. That has developed only a couple of million years back. So in the next movie, I'll try to show you, I'll show you what we can do. I'll show you the different parts of the brain, what it does, and how it can in the last 10, 15 years, we slowly understood that human brain is not a fixed organ. Before it was thought for the last 25 years, last 2000 years, that brain is a fixed organ. After you're 25 years of age, brain doesn't grow, brain doesn't create its own. There's no new nerve cells formed. But now we know it's completely opposite. The brain is a completely plastic structure. You can change those circuits inside your brain that cause depression and change it with those circuits that cause happiness. So happiness is a learned skill. That is the latest understanding in science. Happiness is not what God gives you, because here the God is you. That's the biggest democracy in Hindu philosophy is you are God, you are part of that infinite power. Only that we don't know our infinite powers. We have to learn our infinite powers. So when you change your brain circuit, everything that because you got to remember one thing, as I said before, on earth you cannot have a time where everything is always happy and nice and beautiful and heavenly. That doesn't happen. What does happen is the normal life takes its own course and how you react with it. If you react with it inadvertently, badly, you end up with stress, mental disorders, cancers, and I'll show you how. So the root cause of all this problem is how you treat, how your brain interprets, and how you can change your brain. And that's called neuroplasticity. Let me show you a little bit of what neuroplasticity is, then we'll go forward.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-traveled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep traveling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand.
So we have come up with this new concept of what is known as Broca's brain to Buddha's brain. I don't have much time, I just have 5 minutes, so let me go fast through it. So Buddha's brain is basically a brain. So we have 4 different type of, if I do an EEG on most of us, you will find that we have very fast wave inside our brain called as the beta waves. But if you take a monk, a Buddhist monk or a Hindu monk who practices meditation in the Himalayas, you'll find very slow waves. And those waves are called theta or delta waves. In fact, Richard Davidson, when he brought some of the rishis from India to do research here, he found in the deepest of our sleep we have some waves called theta waves. So brain is like a paradoxical organ. When it looks to be more active, it is actually inactive. And in people who have meditated for many years, it gets more and more inactive, but actually more active. And that's where you develop this power of intuition, living longer, body being more healthy. So that's why we call that Buddha's brain from normal brain, which is the Broca's brain. So how does the meditation protect the body, brain and the body? As you know, the stress and anxiety causes release of multiple neurohormones that can cause a wide variety of diseases, starting from inflammation, heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis. 15 years back, if you said, okay, I lost my job, so I've got a viral fever, people don't believe you. There is no connection between them. You go and even tell that to your doctor, he'll laugh at you. It's just a coincidence that you have a viral fever. But now we actually know that body immunity is decreased so much so that you can actually have a viral fever. So I'll just go through a fast couple of research that we have. So to prove that stress differs in meditators and non-meditators, they took 25 people who are meditators and 25 who are non-meditators. When they were put in stress situations by doing different things like brain scan, EEGs, they clearly showed people who meditate don't get stressed, whereas people who don't, they do. And somebody was talking about sleep. So there's been a fantastic study which actually showed that 1 6-hour sleep is equivalent, if you do 20 minutes of meditation, this is a scientific study, this is not, I have not created these figures. 20 minutes of meditation can get you more active to do more complex tasks than what 6 hours of sleep can get you. So how it happens, we don't know. Same is the story with Alzheimer's. As you guys know, in this country, after 80, 85, thousands of people languish in nursing home. They have loss of memory. They don't know who their son is, who their children is. Even some of them don't know their names. we have medications for Alzheimer's which hardly works. They're as good as placebos. The only thing that has proved to be working is in 2010, researcher at Harvard actually showed 5 years of meditation can make your brain grow 1.5 inch. Nothing known to mankind till now can actually make your brain grow. So I have to stop, but I'm more than welcome. So there's been millions of studies with heart attack patients, cancer patients, especially also in females. As you know, in females in the postmenopausal stage, they are at risk of getting heart disease and stroke more than a man of their age, because throughout the menstrual period, they are protected by hormones like estrogen. Suddenly, they lose their estrogen and they become more at higher risk. So in these patients, they actually showed the risk of having these diseases can be decreased to a great extent using meditation. I think I will stop now, and I've got a bunch of research also on cancer, but I think my time is over. I can answer some of your questions later on.